My take is every 2 weeks I buy silver. And I don't care what the cost is. It doesn't make any difference to me.
Because you're getting out of fiat.
That's right.
Okay.
And I buy gold too, but mostly silver recently because I see the leverage that's involved. You're talking 100 to 1. I talk 45 to 1. But it doesn't make any difference. It's big.
Yeah.
And J.P. Morgan Chase and HSBC, Hong Kong Shanghai Bank Corporation, they're buried. They can't get out.
You're right.
What are we talking about? $50, $60 silver, short term. What are we talking about? A loss of $50 billion? That is a lot of money. Now, what I expect them to do when they get to that level and they can't cover, and they're not covering, they're going to default. And all those people with futures contracts, derivatives, options on the COMEX, and if you notice, they just raised margin requirements on silver again yesterday.
Yesterday, sure.
And the LBMA and the ETF, SLV, and probably GLD as well, they're going to go into the you-know-what.
Yeah, and I just want to weigh in and say, when you note that 45 to 1 paper manipulation, Adrian Douglas's detailed research certainly backs you up. That's what he says, 45 to 1, and he's really got some quantifiable evidence.
He does some brilliant work.
He's a brilliant
Excellent
guy. We respect him a lot. And I get the 100 to 1 from Jeffrey Christian and his testimony in the March 2010 CFTC hearing. But let me ask you this. When you talk about the COMEX defaulting, for those of us that don't have the knowledge you do, what does that mean, do you think, to the price of silver, to the price of physical? Would it be a short-term spike? Would it be a permanent spike? And what do you think it would spike to? It helps us understand what that looks like.
Well, it would be short and permanent, both. And the people who are invested in those venues I've just described, they're all going to lose their money. Morgan and HSBC and Goldman Sachs is involved with Citigroup. They're going to allow the public to eat their losses. That's what it's going to be all about. And I think it's going to bring about the end of the gold and silver futures market, and maybe even platinum and palladium in the COMEX pits. They know what's going on. The CME is in the middle of it. If they weren't, why would they be raising margin requirements? They doubled them in the last 2 months. They're working in league with the United States government. Who do those positions at Morgan and HSBC belong to? They belong to the United States government is who they belong to. That's what this is all about. And so the hell with the people. Let them eat it. And that's their attitude. I mean, you're looking at an enormous upside.
In the prices of physical.
That's right. And, of course, the shares will follow or maybe even lead.
Well, let's talk about that. Let's explore that briefly. When you talk about shares, how do you think those companies behave in a dollar collapse? What happens to those share prices of those companies denominated in U.S. dollars, Bob?
Well, they will be discounting the fact that the dollar is being depreciated. And that's an ongoing process that you see every day. But there's another thing that they're discounting, the inflation that's being caused by the monetization. And another thing, they are the object of a flight to quality, the only real money in the world, just like commodities are. And so when the dollar goes down, or when you have these crises with silver or gold on the different exchanges, gold and silver have got to go up. They cannot go down. And there's nobody there in the markets to push them down because there's not going to be any sellers. I mean, who would want to sell silver at $50 if they thought it was going to $500? Or who would want to sell gold at $14.40 an ounce when they think it's going to $8,000 or more?
But let's say the yen carry trade goes away. Let's say that the deleveraging happens. Let's say that we see a repeat of what happened in 2008, where the markets absolutely implode. The mining shares would probably follow suit and really get hit hard.
Absolutely incorrect. And I'll tell you why. None of the hedge funds are long those stocks. They are short those stocks. The inverse, the exact opposite of what we saw 2.5 years ago. And historically, when markets have collapsed, gold and silver shares have always gone up. The only time they didn't was in 2008, and the reason why was the hedge funds and some banks, some institutions, not the gold and silver mutual funds, they were long, and they had to reduce their leverage positions. So they sold everything but the kitchen sink. And the first one's out the door with the gold and silver shares, because who cares about them?
Okay.
This time they don't own them. If they don't own them, they can't sell them. And worse yet, they're short. And who's telling them to go short? The United States government. Because the hedge funds are working with the United States government. Not all of them, but many of them. And we know that to be a fact.
One of the things that I'm sure you've noted, and I find terribly interesting, Bob, is that we're seeing a huge premium to net asset value in Sprott's Physical Silver Fund, PSLV. When you compare PSLV and its current 20 to 21% premium to net asset value compared to the SLV, the fraudulent JP Morgan vehicle, it is amazing. It tells a story for us, doesn't it, Bob? It tells us that the physical silver is being respected and the paper silver is being realized for the fraud that it is.
And that's exactly so. And you don't even have to add anything to it. And, people vote with their feet. And they've walked over to Sprott and they bought and they're willing to pay 20% more. Well, 20% of, say, $35 an ounce is $7. So you're looking at $42 an ounce that they're willing to pay because they think it's going higher.
Let me ask you this. I hold some PSLV, and of course I hold physical metal as well. At what point does it not make sense to hold PSLV? And of course, I'm in an IRA. I take a big hit to take that out before retirement age. So that's why I'm in PSLV. But for the guy who might have a Ameritrade brokerage account, does PSLV make that much sense at a 20% net asset value premium when you just go buy physical?
Just go buy physical.
Okay.
That's what you should do. That's what I would do. When I buy physical, what do I buy? I buy pre-64 90% dimes, quarters, and halves. Two reasons. Number one, I can usually buy them at or below spot, which is pretty good. Can't do that with any other silver vehicle. And second of all, everybody knows what they are, and were you to ever have to use them as barter, they're terrific.
Well, Bob, we just really appreciate your time. You're such a great guy, and you are so generous with your time. How do we get people in touch with you over at the International Forecaster to get a free copy?
You go to theinternationalforecaster.com, theinternational.forecaster.com, or www.intforecaster.com. If you have any questions, or if you want our latest gold and silver share releases, all you have to do is email us at Bob, B-O-B, at intforecaster.com, Bob at intforecaster.com. We publish by email twice a week. They usually runs around 40 pages each time. And we have a hard copy that goes out twice a month for those who are not on the Internet. Also, if you'd like to get a copy and call in, toll free, 877-479-8178. That's 877-479-8178. Get either kind of copy. And they have a special deal there for those who want to become subscribers. They will give you a free 1-year subscription. And they offer a deal there. The deal is terrific.
Well, as always, Bob, we sure appreciate your time. So, ladies and gentlemen, Bob Chapman from the International Forecaster, signing off. Have a great week, sir.
Thank you very much, and thank you all for listening.
We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
And as always, guys, thanks for watching.